One of the funniest things to me about the effect Donald Trump is having on our culture is how suddenly all of our corporations are acting like they're responsible and like they care about the environment and workers and humanity all of a sudden. Our corporations are now suddenly the voice of caring responsibility. Take, for example, Starbucks. Immediately after Trump announced the travel ban, Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz issued a big statement saying the company would hire 10,000 refugees worldwide over the next 5 years. He talked about the conscience of our country and the American dream. Starbucks did this. Starbucks, the giant coffee corporation who systematically erased thousands of local coffee shops run by immigrants and individual Americans from my city of New York. Starbucks suddenly went from giant corporation gobbling up the world's coffee businesses to the voice of our conscience. That's funny enough. But then even funnier was how all these idiots started taking pictures of themselves holding Starbucks cups and posting them on the internet to show their support of Starbucks. They actually felt self-righteous about buying coffee from a giant corporation. They actually felt like they were helping the little people by buying coffee from a giant chain. And of course the media played it up, saying this was another case of people coming together against Trump by buying up Starbucks like crazy. This is how twisted this stuff gets. It's so funny. But then even funnier is that now, about a month after their big announcement to hire refugees, Starbucks consumer perception levels have fallen by a whopping 2/3, according to Hugo brand index. The perception tracker measures how people feel about a brand. And they measured Starbucks after the announcement, and it had fallen drastically from when they tracked the brand's perception back in October, by about 2/3. In other words, even though the media showed lots of pictures of people supporting Starbucks, the reality seems to be much different. And the reality is, there is reason to believe the backlash will impact Starbucks' bottom line, according to Hugo. So, even though our corporations are now suddenly acting like they're people too, and compassionate, caring ones at that, and even though the media is trying to portray them that way now too, the reality is a lot different, and to me, in a lot of ways, a whole lot funnier. There's been a lot of talk lately about California seceding from the United States of America. And now a new Rasmussen report survey has found that almost 1/3 of all Americans say, who cares? You want to leave California? Go ahead. Almost 1/3 of American adults think that the U.S. would not be impacted at all if California left. And almost 1/5 actually said America would be better off. Now, I think the idea of California seceding is pretty stupid, and I think polls are pretty stupid. But I also think it's a lot of fun to imagine what kind of country California would make. First, they'd take Hollywood, all their movie studios and celebrities, so they'd still be making their movies. The only question is, would the country of America want to watch movies made in the country of California? I mean, they barely do now anyway, right? But if California were to secede, people in America might be like, oh, what, you think it's too good for us? Screw you, California. I don't want to see your stupid movies with your stupid celebrities anymore. It's all just sequels and kids' movies now anyway. We were just rooting for you because you were one of us, but now, forget it. The country of California would also take their tech industry. That could be a hit to the U.S., I think. And if California could run Silicon Valley any way they wanted, it might get even crazier. Because California is pretty crazy. Like, they could immediately run wild with it, and the next thing you know, the country of California creates those humanoid robots with the artificial intelligence that all our smartest people keep warning us about. And then all those humanoid robots could become the leaders of the country of California, and then we're all in big trouble. Or maybe they just keep creating a bunch of dumb apps that no one needs. Who knows? Either way, I personally wouldn't miss California's tech industry too much either. The thing I might miss about California, though, would be their weed. I think I would definitely miss Humboldt County, and I know a lot of other Americans would too. And yeah, I guess I'd miss the way they walk around in their "it's all good" haze. They're living in perpetual perfect sunshine. And I guess I'd miss having a state that just stands for acceptance and positivity in a way unlike any of our other states. Just like I'd miss Texas, or Florida, or Michigan for bringing their own brands of crazy to this crazy union. The truth is, I would miss California if it were to secede, even though I love to roll my eyes at it. But either way, I'm with the 1/3 of Americans who say, you really want to go that bad. Go. I've been harping on how annoyed I am with all these people who are morally outraged at everything right now. They're morally outraged at tweets. They're morally outraged by spoken words. They're morally outraged by other people having different opinions than them. They're morally outraged by everything, these people today, and they're driving me nuts because they act so self-righteous about their outrage. And I don't buy it. I don't buy their premise that they're such great people who are standing up for justice with their moral outrage. Which is why I was so glad to read that some psychologists now say they agree with me too. In the latest edition of Motivation and Emotion, psychology professors Zachary Rothschild and Lucas Kiefer say that moral outrage is self-serving. They say it isn't about a desire to restore justice by fighting on behalf of some perceived victim, but rather it's about the outraged person's own self-interest in reinforcing their own status of being holier than thou. Moral outrage, in other words, is just a way to make yourself feel like you're better than everyone. That's according to these psychologists. They also say that moral outrage can be rooted in a person's guilt. They feel guilty about their own true feelings or for some other reason, so they express moral outrage at other things in effort to maintain a moral identity. And the psychologists didn't just hypothesize about this, they actually conducted 5 separate studies to back them up. And the studies were pretty funny, because they involved telling participants stories about climate change and labor exploitation in developing countries. And the psychologists found that when people felt guilty about their own role in climate change or labor exploitation, they were more likely to vent that guilt through moral outrage at a third party, like a corporation. And when they did that, they not only felt less guilty, but they felt so much more self-righteous about themselves. In other words, the moral outrage was all about the participants' own feelings about themselves and not about saving the planet or helping poor people in some other place on the planet that they've never been to, let alone understand. So, the psychologists conclude that their research findings is consistent with other recent research, which all points to moral outrage being a load of crap, basically. And that is definitely consistent with my own personal findings in today's overly outraged world.